Hi, I'm Jeff Nabers, and I'm here with Eric Wikstrom, founder of Integrated Wealth Strategies, LLC. He's a CPA and CFP. We'll talk a little bit here about solo 401ks. Eric, solo 401ks tend to be kind of new to the self-directed retirement account world, and there's not as much information out there as there is on IRAs and IRA LLCs. What do you think are the main points people should know just right up front about how a solo 401k works, or how it might be a little bit different?
Sure. Well, Jeff, the solo 401k right now is a little bit stealth-like for a lot of unknown reasons, but if you're self-employed, it's probably the preferred retirement savings vehicle, primarily because the contribution limits, the amounts of money you can put in every year, are substantially higher than what you can put into an IRA. It has a nice Roth feature, which is not limited by income like you are in an IRA. As the borrowing capacity, like most people who have a 401k at an employer probably realize you can borrow from your 401k as long as the plan allows it. Well, you can do that with your own solo or individual 401k. So it's got some great benefits over an IRA that people should really realize. If you're self-employed, this is the retirement plan you really need to consider.
Okay. And so everybody that's self-employed, more specifically, how can a person go, I'm eligible or I'm not eligible?
So if you've got an existing company with full-time employees, unfortunately you wouldn't qualify for a solo 401k. You'd have to have a more traditional 401k, which in essence is the same thing, but it just has more administration to it than a solo 401k.
So to be eligible, you have to have a business, and the business cannot have full-time employees.
Correct.
And it's pretty cut and dry.
Correct. And one of the things, though, that people really don't understand very well is you can be a full-time W-2 employee during the day, work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and in the evenings you can be a computer software designer, you can be a musician on the weekends. As long as you have an activity that has an intent to make a profit, that can be that can be your self-employed business activity in addition to your W-2 job during the week. So a lot of people are W-2 employees, full-time employees, but also have self-employed activities basically on the side, and they're eligible to take some earnings and put it in that 401k plan from the profits and earnings they make from the self-employed activity.
Gotcha. So you run into a lot of people who work a day job 9 to 5 and maybe have this side business. They do some consulting or some sort of contract work, and the message you have for them is, hey, you still are eligible for the solo 401k as long as you don't hire employees with your side work.
Right. Real quick example, a gentleman I work with works for a big software company in my neighborhood by day, but in the evening he's developed a site online where he buys basically used textbooks online, and then he resells them. So his trader business is basically buying and selling textbooks and reselling them to individuals, and he buys very rare books, and he's quite successful at it. So that is a separate trader business for him, the buying and reselling of books. So he's got his W-2 day job, which he also contributes to that 401k plan. Now the limits, he can't over-contribute in total. We're all limited by an annual amount, which this year is $15,500, but he can contribute to his employer's plan and also contribute to his solo 401k plan as long as he doesn't exceed that amount. But he's going to be able to have two plans and contribute at two different places.
And so there's obviously a lot of unique benefits that a solo 401k will enjoy that a self-directed IRA will not enjoy. You mentioned a couple of them. Have you ever run into anything that you think is undesirable about a solo 401k, that where you can't do something or things are a certain way and it's better with a self-directed IRA?
No, actually, the self-directed IRA is a phenomenal retirement savings vehicle for most people, and it's great for the folks that don't have that trader business opportunity. But if someone does have a trader business opportunity and they don't mind setting that up and transferring assets from their self-directed IRA into their new solo 401k, I just think the benefits of the solo 401k provide so much more flexibility that that's something they really should consider. And I know we talk about this a lot when we get together, but you don't have this little unrelated business income tax on leveraged real estate. And so for those of you who are interested in buying real estate and putting debt on it, you don't have this potential little tax if you do this in a solo 401k like you might have in an IRA. So if you were to go through a checklist of items on benefits, I think you'd see more benefits in the solo 401k than you would in the IRA.
So you would agree that it's pretty safe to say, as a general rule of thumb, if you're eligible for a solo 401k and you expect to remain eligible for a solo 401k, always go with the solo 401k over the IRA.
I would, and the benefits are greater. We've talked about before the concept of checkbook control. In a solo 401k, you can still have checkbook control and be able to control what investments obviously you're making, but have the ability to control how the funds are dispersed. Again, there's a lot of issues about being disciplined to do that right. But yeah, all things being equal, I'd rather recommend to people, if they can qualify, if they have a trade or business activity, that they really focus on solo 401k. Again, higher contribution limits. You can have your spouse involved. No limits on a Roth as far as income, plan loan, all kinds of wonderful things that just you don't have access to in a self-directed IRA.
And with your experience in your clientele, what are some of the popular investment choices once you have all the restrictions removed? What do some of your clients tend to be investing in?
Well, one of the bigger areas that people obviously gravitate towards is real estate, and there's all kinds of ways to own real estate and to benefit from price increases in real estate. And you can actually go own a single-family rental home. You can own a interest in a larger real estate investment, maybe that someone else has put together, locally owned, maybe in your neighborhood. A lot of people also that don't want to be involved with tenants and toilets purchase what is known as trust deeds. So they get involved with a situation where someone has loaned money to someone who needs money, maybe a developer or a homeowner, and they take a secured position in that real estate. But the interest rates on those type of trust deeds are 10, 12, 14%. And as long as you're properly secured in that investment, I think it makes a great alternative to your other IRA assets. So it's primarily real estate, trust deeds. We see people writing options on property. So those are probably the top three investments. There's anything other than collectibles and life insurance is fair game for an IRA. So if you just use your imagination, you can imagine some of the great things out there. But I'd say real estate, trust deeds, and perhaps options are the top three.
Okay.